Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, and a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. Me oh my, what a week it has been. Yeah, so, obviously people expect me to talk about the stuff that happened just yesterday, but, that's not even close to what's been going on. The regular weekly routine that we have around here has been somewhat disrupted, which is somewhat ironic considering that I've only managed to get back into that for 1 week, and then afterwards, that got severed. So essentially, because of the family birthday, we ended up actually going back to Crawley only 2 days after we actually left. We then proceeded to leave again because it was just for the party celebration. And I went actually even before that on Thursday when during the actual visit. I actually went out for a dinner celebrating the birthday of the same person. So yeah, that was surprisingly tiring considering that I was on child entertainment duty, as I normally am. But yeah, basically, point is that yeah, after that party celebration, we went away, and then 2 days afterwards came back again because my dad was actually traveling for some reason. I forget precisely why it was a meeting. So we decided, okay, we're going to actually put something forward. So actually, we haven't just arrived today, and we've been going back and forth on 2-day intervals. That's not even the bizarre thing. The bizarre thing is that on the day of return, basically, from the first return, not the party return, we actually had something else that was also quite tiring to deal with, but was definitely fun until towards the end. So we actually went to a festival called Wayfest, and that's a music festival. It's not one of the massive, huge ones, which is a relief because I've done a project before about trying to organise such an event. It was an assessment for class, and frankly, it's left me with the desire to not attend such a place because of all the stuff I figured out about how they're organised, or the research, or the horror stories behind the things that have gone wrong, etc, etc. So yeah, Wayfest is definitely the crowd that the crowd that we needed. It was like around this it's like in this location where it was supposed to be like a museum area, and I was somewhat apprehensive of going, and the reason for that is because I thought when the original idea was proposed, I thought that my mum was talking about about the week afterwards. When I realised it was on the exact same day, and I hadn't accounted for that because on that same day I had a stream, and I guess my mum took my asking about about a ticket and such, because I hadn't actually got back to her, as a sign that I was really desperate to go, all of a sudden, I guess, and then went out of her way to actually go ahead and she sent me as I'm need to get stuff, or like book it in my name with my card or something. I don't know. I can't remember exactly how it worked. That's not the important detail. So yeah, point is that I eventually actually had a ticket to this place, and although I was apprehensive, I was okay with it because one of the bands that was there playing was Amitri, which is a band that I actually really quite like. It's one of my favourites, and it's also one of my parents' favourites. So we were actually going there. There was also one of my dad's friends. He was there too. He hadn't actually heard of Amitri, but that was his introduction. And to be honest, it actually is a more concrete introduction than how I got introduced to them, because I think it was through random CDs and albums or something over the years. Because, yeah, I definitely remember hearing quite a lot of those songs very early on, and then eventually I realized that, oh yeah, this is the same people, or we have the CD was the car the whole time. Which actually, I think Amitri are the English-speaking band that I have most listened to recently. And by recently, I mean for a considerable amount of time. So, needless to say, I was actually excited to go, despite the fact that there was an issue. So the actual festival itself, I was notified actually would end at 11, which normally isn't an issue. So, but well, you know, yeah, obviously on stream days, the time that I actually supposed to start, you know, same time, same place 5 years later, is 10. Which of course meant that I was meant to contact somebody, but because we ended up leaving so early, despite the fact that the one band we actually were aiming to see were the last ones to perform, we actually arrived much earlier, I guess, you know, to enjoy the festivities and all that stuff, and see who else was there. Which actually, in hindsight, I'm somewhat glad that we did, but also it came back to bite me in the end, because what I sent out a message when I realized that I was not going to be around to start the stream, to see if somebody else could host it. In fact, I even set up a restream specifically so that I could actually, you know, press it on my phone. I've actually figured out how to use restream on a mobile phone. It wasn't that difficult, people. And that way, whoever was actually in there and I actually let do their thing, they can share their screens and actually post it to Twitch, post it to my Facebook Live so that the thing is actually saved, and we would be perfectly fine, right as rain. Unfortunately, that's not how it went down. I put out the message, and it was early for people in American time zones, so we just went and I told my mum, and she said, "Oh, we know someone's going to be there for that. You know, they'll, you know." So I'm sure that your friend will be that one friend, referring to Aiden. She didn't know his name, but referring to Aiden specifically, would be able to do so. And actually, she was right. And the person who did respond to my last minute plea for help was Aiden. But here's the thing: when you plan something with Aiden, sometimes he'll surprise you. And also life will surprise you too. When we got to Wayfest itself, the tickets, you know, that we had online, we had to actually try and get up. But the thing is that our phones were loading for ages. Like, oh, well, this is weird. Okay, I'll turn on data. Oh, it's still not working. This is once again weird. We got a little bit closer to the actual place and the admissions place, and eventually it worked. It took quite some time for the actual card machines to read out anything, but after a while they got used to it. And if you're suspecting that something is wrong right now, you would be correct, because what happened was that was the only area pretty much in the entirety of the festival, with a few exceptions depending on what phone you use, that had signal. So then suddenly I had a problem. Not to mention I still have the issue with my phone, where because of all the stuff I haven't offloaded from it yet from the holidays, the battery was draining. So me trying to get footage from the actual festival was a bit of a challenge. I had to turn my phone on and off again, and actually do strategic filming at random intervals. But I managed to save up enough time so I can actually just press the button, and it should have been all right. Now, of course, the ideal world does not exist. So the actual problem was that I was trying to find the earliest place once the actual last actual stream was about to start, I think I gave myself about half an hour head start, which actually meant that I was cutting into the actual performance of Amitri themselves. Again, I don't regret seeing the other bands because there's one particular reggae artist actually called Jeremiah Ferrari. He was actually new. None of us knew who he was. He was relatively young compared to some of the other bands there. Like, for example, we had the Christians, who were a Scouse band who apparently were huge and fill up stadiums in the 80s or something. And of course, they had a little bit of sarcastic humor about how their decline had happened and how they were, basically the front people for Amitri at this point, which the crowd didn't quite understand because they weren't sure how self-deprecating they were being, and if it was actually the guy was genuinely like breaking down. But yeah, it depends. So of course my dad put that down to Scouse humor, which naturally was the correct answer. Anyways, the point is that when Amitri themselves started playing, again, the only band that we actually had planned to see, I took a moment, weaved my way out of the crowd and went out to search for a signal. Hopefully not going back to the admission space because I'd have to show my wristband a bunch of times and, go back and forth. It was a whole thing. So, and actually, eventually, my phone ran out of battery while I was still trying to search around. And then, I then borrowed my dad's phone, which actually had better signal. So, and now people are asking, oh no, what plan did you have or something like that? It really does not matter what service provider I have, because obviously different service providers will be in different areas. So it's not like it's like, oh, I just have to upgrade this one. It's more complicated than that. Anyway, that was an annoying question I got a few times at the time, and I was like, what is the point? So yeah, his phone pointers worked better, but it didn't work well enough. I had to try and log in. I tried to try and log into Restream or even into Discord, or even just to Discord online, and I was there waiting for quite some time. All the while I can actually hear Amitri playing in the background, and I know that I'm missing out on the reason I was there, and I don't know if I'll be actually I don't know if I'll ever see them live again. So that was weighing on my mind as well. I quite honestly, I didn't know that they were actually still performing together. But then I eventually did end up going round and actually getting a signal pretty much like opposite where they were performing, but outside. I did actually end up eventually go outside the admissions area. So I was there just watching them behind the trees or something. And I actually finally got onto Discord, and I saw that there were messages, there's from people saying, oh yeah, the person who actually did reply was Aiden. BB also replied, but she said that she wasn't really set up for streaming, even though I had done all the preparations for the stream, so that shouldn't really have been an issue. And what else? I guess no commentary or something like that. So BB was a non-starter, and Aiden, of course, he was. As my mum predicted, he was actually. Or you're prepared for that. But then, of course, he throws me a curveball and says, "Oh, I'll be ready in an hour." Because I'm away. And so I said to him, "Well, if you were away, why did you actually accept this?" And then bear in mind that Aiden knows the rough time that I've actually done these streams for the past 2 years on end, and also that. What was it? And also at the same time, the messages are taking a long time to load on both sides because of the lack of phone signal. And he said eventually, I didn't expect I would be out, which quite frankly I should have done, because actually a lot of the time they're being surprised, and just will either bail out of actual recording without telling us where he's going, or we'll just forget an actual time arrangement. usually when Aiden asks you to hang out and such, he'll actually be meaning like the precise moment or something, and it won't be like an arranged time, which actually I can understand. As Beanie Boy can attest, I don't like to arrange specific time frames for everything. Being like, okay, we'll do this from this time to this time. Starting times, not an issue, because obviously you need to figure out when you're actually doing things. But, for example, Beanie Boy and I filmed a music video about a year ago, which I never actually ended up finishing the actual vocals for, because then he threw me a curveball too of how the vocals were being, he wanted to actually be done. Oh no, look at that, it's the 5G tower. And then I got sick, then university started, and then eventually I'm still backed up to projects to this very day. So yeah, that was not exactly the time frame I was expecting at the time. But yeah, so, but during that music video, he wanted to know when we'd be finished about. I couldn't tell him because I actually didn't know. The point is we were going to go around and find different visual stuff. I hadn't prepared an actual like mapped out area for this particular thing we were doing, with a few exceptions. I did want to film outside of the drama club that we used to go to together. You know, that was somewhat of an Easter egg, I suppose you could describe it as. Anyway, but yeah, wait, back to Aiden as the example. Yeah, with him, it's the more extreme version of that. And actually, to be fair, he doesn't actually always remember what time it is for me anyway, because he asked me to hang out at 3 AM a lot of the time. And I'm like, what? Really? I might have to call him earlier today to see if he wants to actually do anything, because otherwise I'm going to end up in the same situation, possibly. So yeah, initiative from me as well. Speaking of initiative, because he wasn't going to be around for an hour, that I, of course, by that point, an hour would have been enough time possibly for us to actually get back. So I said to him, okay, whoever gets home first starts the stream. I didn't even mind if it was on his channel this time, because he'd actually come with me previously when I actually had another situation where I was working when I was doing that locations runner thing for that film, and I didn't realize how late they were actually going to go, because my time slot had changed, because they actually got me there at one point and then changed me over. And so he actually covered on his channel, and yeah, it was perfectly fine. You know, it still counts. It was still same time, same place, all of that goodness. So yeah, no issue at all there. But yeah, obviously this time it turns out I actually got back. It was still the same night. I was about an hour and a half late, but the stream went off without much of a hitch, and we were all right. All was well. Except for, of course, one thing. The fact that because of that, I ended up coming back to see Amitri as they were performing their last song. I didn't even make it back all the way to my parents and my dad's friend, because, you know, there were so many people that I didn't want to weave back and forth all the time. I'd done it twice already. So, yeah, it wasn't the experience that I was hoping it was going to be towards the end. So, yeah. I realized that I was actually going to talk about the real experience that I did manage to plan this week and did go off as intended. And that was, of course, the 500 subscriber Butter Bunch special. And I suppose the subsequent Fallen Angels episode 4 review, because in the time since yesterday, Fallen Angels has had 2 episode releases. So Aiden's been quite prolific, actually. You know, credit to him. He might not be around for streams, but he's definitely working on stuff. That you can rest assured about. I can't remember if episode 3 of season 2 dropped this week or not, but I didn't talk about it last week, so I'll talk about it this week. New song. Finally, one of the things that I actually recorded during that month I was like going back and forth to the studio constantly, actually did come out, and it was the new one. All the others are remakes. which I will again get to when I'm not backed up to the high heavens of projects. I might possibly do the Beanie Boy thing first before it becomes the first anniversary when we actually recorded that, which is quite soon actually. That's depressing. Anywho, so that actually came out, and the song I think turned out really, really well. Obviously relative to many of my other releases, I guess, over the years, but yeah, I think I'm for a while now I've been in a position where I've been really happy with the stuff I've been producing. And also, seeing as Harvey wasn't actually as complicated as I thought it would be. So yeah, based on all of that, pretty satisfied. And then episode 4 as well. Actually, at one point Aiden did ask me if I could actually edit a scene, but he got so antsy to actually get the episode out that because he knows I'm busy with season 3 of The Mutant Girl, still, by the way, I've had other problems with that because I've been transferring stuff over to my new machine, and Vegas actually did not like the project that one of them was saved in. Then Calamity also was striking there. So then he got so antsy that he actually finished the scene himself, and which further proves my point that I was trying to make to him all that time ago, where I get so anxious to actually, because when there's like a huge gap like now between Mutant Girl releases, I really don't like the momentum being lost and such. Although granted, people have been waiting quite patiently for it, and there's still buzz about it. There's still discussions about the actual series. There's still questions being thrown about. That might be partly because Fallen Angels are still going, but other reasons. Or it could just be that Monet underestimated the fan base of the Mutant Girl itself and how much they actually latched on to the writing of it. Hopefully it's better than she actually made it out to be. I can't obviously say one way or the other because I'm biased, but I can only hope. But yeah, so thinking about that, and going back to the 500 subscriber special, because that was what I was working on. Especially, like, the Mutant Girl thing, that was one aspect. The real thing I was working on was that subscriber special and that project, which I didn't actually announce to anybody. I did my classic thing again, where I don't actually announce this stuff. And obviously, reason for that is because it would have ruined it. If people don't know, and don't know what the title of this video is referring to, I am now a VTuber. And I was working on the preparation for my VTuber debut, which I also found out was a thing while I was working on the VTuber debut. So my plan was, because when Marsico X hit 500,000 subscribers, he did a special new What If, where he actually said, oh, I need to do something very different here, and I need to actually change location or something. So he went off, given the best that he could do during the pandemic, and actually got to I don't know, this yurt in the middle of who knows where. So essentially, same idea for a setup, but just a different location. So of course, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm not going to travel around just because of this, or I was traveling at the time when we hit 500 subscribers, but I didn't have my setup there for videos at all. Nor was I going to take extensive amounts of time to do anything other than the streams that I had promised that I was going to do, because that interferes with what was going on with my friends and how much they would be, around and talking and everything. So that left me with the option of using my classic green screen, which I tried out a while ago, which came with a slew of problems at the time. And that was almost what I attempted, but I realized, like, that's going to be just a cheap knockoff. I need to go one step beyond And I haven't been playing around with VRoid Studio for a few months now, because I was trying to actually think of like a way to do front-facing gacha characters or 3D versions of them, but it looked uncanny, so I kind of dropped it. But I realized I learned all of that like model editing and stuff for no reason. I'm just going to use it. I'm going to become a VTuber, and so I did. I could have asked Mimi for help, because obviously he's the expert VTuber at the moment. But I decided not to do that, because I wanted to see his reaction at the time. I was like, everyone needs to be there for the 500 subscriber special. You need to see this, especially you. And then pinged his account a bunch of times. So yeah, then the moment actually arrives, and pretty much because as Aiden told me that the Fallen Angels episode was 10 minutes long, I set the premiere of that on the Butter Punch to exactly 10 minutes afterwards. Or rather, I suppose 12 minutes if you think about it, because the premiere time would allow for 2. So that happened. But yeah, basically, I didn't actually ping up. I was like, oh, it's happening now. Go, 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 go. But the moment actually arrived, and precisely when my VTuber actually loaded on screen for the first time was the moment when Mimi showed up, and the reaction was amazing. I suggest to everyone go to the Butter Bunch to look up What If Gine Survived, and check out the reaction in the live chat for yourself. Because, my goodness, and everyone else seemed enthusiastic too. I might have a new method of doing what ifs that's actually not just copying the layout that Masako did. It depends on how the video performs actually, but relative to the new what if releases, it's actually done pretty well thus far for the first 24 hours. Nothing compared to what it was a few months ago, but again, slowly recovering that because other projects and everything, getting back into the swing. But yeah, I will check once I get back, because I haven't inspected the analytics of that today. But yeah, needless to say, it's been outperforming Pop Goes Arcade again, which BB has not failed to mention. I mean, again, you have to provide a little bit of hype and metadata for that. That's how you get people interested and the views rolling and such. Because trust me, I went through my phase of just posting stuff with no announcement on YouTube, but actually I was less successful than those videos those are now. So you never actually know. Then again, her Undertale videos actually did pretty well on her main channel back in the day. I don't know. Might have been the hype of the game itself. Maybe Pop Goes Arcade has had a few issues with being promoted and such, especially by Scott. But that's neither here nor there. Eventually then I did another stream with Mimi and such, reviewing Fallen Angels, and that was normal, I guess. You can check that out. So that'll be right before this one on this channel. I'm paraphrasing that because I'm running out of data here again. I need to actually take out all the festival videos, because that's actually eating up what I can actually do. So yeah, I'm going back home. I promised a Diet Coke when I get back, so I'm going to look forward to that. And in the meantime, please leave a like or dislike, because your opinion matters. And subscribe to us already. Also the Butter Bunch, because why not? Keep it going. You'll see the VTuber soon enough. And subscribe. Yeah, hope you haven't done already. I've said that already. And on that note, until next time, farewell.